This is Planet Business. It'll be fun.
Welcome to the Planet Business Show.
Yes. All right. In this episode, we're bringing on a pair of guests today who can answer all of our questions about YouTube. So we are super excited to bring Owen and Theresa on. Welcome to the show.
Hi, good to be here.
It is great to have you guys on. We're going to do the official intro here, but first, Owen and Theresa, I met through a mastermind that we're both part of, and within about 30 seconds, it was easy to see that these guys are amazing experts when it comes to what they can do and what they know about video and YouTube. So I am really excited to welcome you guys to the show.
We want to share a bit about him before we get rolling. So first of all, there's Owen. Owen video coaches businesses and industry leaders in how to scale their brand visibility, authority, and long-term profitability with YouTube. Also, another little thing here is because I thought this was actually pretty important, which is Owen's a cancer survivor. And that's an amazing thing that I didn't know until right before we came live here.
Yeah, I once got in a fight with a cancer. I'm a Sagittarius, but I came out on top. No, I went through cancer. We're on like 4 years, I think. 4 years since my last day of chemo.
That's the way to handle it right there.
That's a great perspective on it. All right. Well, and Theresa is Owen's wife. She joined the Owen video team the summer of 2017 after resigning from a 13-year teaching career. 6 months into the business with Owen, she had already helped to replace $80K in her teaching salary, which is awesome.
Let's dive in. We did the intro. You guys sound amazing, and I don't know you yet. I only know you that when Michelle says, "Ooh, you know who we should have on? People X, Y, and Z," I'm like, it always goes somewhere really good. So I'm glad you're on. So tell us how you got started in business and sort of what was the impetus for it.
Yeah, I don't know what impetus means, but I'm guessing there's a pill for
motivation.
I got started in business when I got fired. So many people I think have. I've been fired 22 times from 21 different jobs. One place actually hired me back and then fired me again.
Wow.
So I am proudly unemployable. And, I didn't know that until very, very late in life. I was probably about 28 years old when I realized like, wow, like this keeps happening. But when I look back on my life, I had my first job at around 12 years old. I was working for a neighbor across the street doing odd jobs for her. I was always picking up lawn mowing gigs and just anything extra I could to earn money. I went through a long period of life where my number one goal was to never be poor again.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be poor like my parents are. And so I always had odd jobs and did things on the side to earn money, but I didn't consider myself an entrepreneur until my last day at the radio station where I was fired. I remember walking out with my box in my hand, my plant is here with me, that's all I need is this plant, and I'm walking.
Wait. Let me get this straight. You did the quintessential plant carrying out box of stuff thing. I've never had the pleasure of doing
America. Yeah.
I always wanted it to happen, so I made sure I never had cactuses so that the carry out wasn't painful in any way. But I never actually got the thing where I got to carry the box out. Like I planned it. Because I'm kind of like you. Like I am completely unemployable. There's no question. It just never happened in the way where I had to carry the box out. It was always some weird way. I was like, man, I'm gonna do the box carry.
Cacti. It's cacti. But I don't want to distract. But I went through that whole process, and I remember walking out with my plant in the box and thinking, I am going to do YouTube from now on. I was like, no matter what I do, I get fired. So I might as well fail at something that I love as opposed to working for people that I hate.
Right. Totally.
And that's how I got started in business. I dragged my wife into it when it didn't make any more sense for her to stay at school on, teaching kids that weren't ours.
Yeah, Theresa, what was the shift like for you? Because that means you came from kind of a super normie job and then came into this, and this is like a totally different
crazy world.
I call it the internet lifestyle. What's the internet lifestyle been like for you?
I grew up as my career was a state employee.
Yeah.
I got a job as a teacher, not only because I like to help, but I like the safety and security of a steady paycheck. And now transitioning to a job where you have to do a good job and you have to be consistent and you have to work every day.
Performance matters. Yeah.
And it's a different type of mindset as well. Whereas before my mindset was, okay, I want this thing. And so if I want this thing, I'm going to have to save money to get it. And that's how I thought.
You know, she was always encouraging me to limit what we were doing. Like, well, let's just keep it really safe and let's not have a lot of bills. And let's just be really, really safe and create a nice little box that I feel comfortable in.
The awkward art of working together as a couple from home. Yes, especially during quarantine.
Not getting on a stepladder and punching my face on a regular basis.
I've got a stepladder right over there.
I know you do.
So let's actually go into that, more tactical YouTube kind of stuff, because I know we get tons of questions about this. And I'm curious what you guys see as the biggest opportunity right now with online video for business owners.
Yeah, you know, I'll tell you right now, it's you have to create a show that's on YouTube. That's it. That's the bottom line, and that's where we excel. We're very powerful in that realm. You know, everyone is teaching, you know, ranked videos on SEO, but here's the problem with that is, number one, is there are never enough people searching for your videos at any given time to get your channel any momentum. Okay. And number two is the psychology of somebody searching for you is not the psychology of the customer you want.
What's the biggest mistake, like right now, that you actually see business owners making with their videos?
I would say structure, most definitely, is that there's no real solid structure for taking your viewer from beginning to middle to end. Every time you make a new video, it's like a brand new video, and you have to kind of start from scratch. But I would be interested to hear what you have to say on that, because you see sort of a different side.
Well, no, I would agree with you on that. And what I like about the formula that we provide is that it's tried and true. We've seen it work. It's engaging.
Yeah.
A lot of people just jumping on YouTube and just trying it out and just kind of inventing their own wheel. They get a drop-off rate very early on in the video because they're not engaging.
Yeah.
And a lot of the content can be very boring. And so you have to be able to tell it in a way that's entertaining. You have to be able to entertain and keep your viewers engaged throughout their whole time. And don't just dump all the information at the beginning. Otherwise, they're just gonna drop off.
You're going to hear a lot of gurus and experts talk about, you know, the way to start a YouTube video and what works on YouTube. But the only thing that works on YouTube is uploading video, looking at the analytics, and then uploading another video.
Yeah.
You know, your hook's going to be different from their hook, and your intro different from their intro. Some people, a bumper's going to work for that. Others, it's not. You know, and what you have to do is take a real personal approach to YouTube and say, what's my show, right? It's not about, you know, being a floor salesman or installing hardwood floors. It's about making floors interesting to the common person, right? And that's what we have to do.
That's another writer downer.
Yes.
As business owners is instead of telling your people what you're an expert at, today I'm going to show you how to make a graphic and blah, 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 blah. Instead say, today I'm going to show you how we increased our click-through rate 400%. By changing the color. I'll show you what color it is and on what image coming up after.
You know, the best framing I've ever heard for that, what you just described, is Andy Jenkins. He's passed on now, but he was a good friend of mine and a mentor to me. And he used to call it the promise of the premise. And man, he would drill. He was video boss was his deal back in the day.
I remember.
Yeah, and so he would drill that into you, like, dude, what's the promise of the premise? How are you getting to it, right? Instead of, I just to simplify it, like for people, but think about that thing that Owen just said. Andy Jenkins called it the promise of the premise, and it is the major thing that when we're doing like a training style video, we start immediately. That's our structure too. It's basically we start with something that catches their attention because we got that 8 seconds, and then you go right immediately into once you kind of got them hooked, and to keeping them on the hook, it's just like catching a fish. First you hook them, then you snag them, and then you. Well, I'm sorry she doesn't like anything even slightly violent.
Bash them on the head,
and then you bash them on the head with a
metaphor.
Yeah, but that promise of the premise principle is a really strong thing that, like, because other people kind of touch on it, but that is a thing. You got to hit them, you got to hook them, and then you got to snag them, and then you got to. Well, I'm sorry, babe.
I think that there's a lot of truth to that. You know, we have a structure. We've made thousands of videos for the web. We've generated millions of views and millions of dollars, and not just for our channel. I mean, our channel is one thing, but we started a marriage channel called Thriving Sexy Marriage, where we were coaching marriage advice, and that channel did very well.
Because the thing that you said about you put it up and then you look at the analytics and you see where did people like that or did they not like it. That's a thing that I think not enough people do. I was a brand agency creative director and for about 13 years, and you couldn't really I didn't like brand because I couldn't measure anything, dude. That's the thing I liked about direct response was you could measure things. And then when the internet really started weaving it in, I was like, oh man, I can just look at what's actually working and what's not, no theory about it, and then get creative based on knowledge. And so that to me, that's another thing that he said that's a writer down. That's the sort of the first thing.
Well, we focus on 4 big areas that altogether create a cycle of production, right? When you log into our program, like the first thing we do as a ritual is you got to say your numbers. And we have 3 big numbers that we measure. So everybody goes around and says their numbers. And it's not a mine is bigger than yours contest. It's a cadence to create a cadence of accountability, right? So where you know that you're checking your analytics to see how you should change the programming.
That's great that you have that built in like that for the people that
nobody does this. You know, we all base it on sort of like, how did you feel about your video? How did you feel? And you know, it's kind of like, I felt I did really good on this video.
I did a super job. I was spectacular.
And, you know what? That's sort of the default sort of response, or it's I hated my makeup, so I'm not going to release this video.
Perfectionism,
which is, and I want you all to hear me. It's the most selfish thing you could possibly do.
Yeah,
there is nothing else more selfish. The reality is that the success that you're looking for is actually in your next video. So you know, it's not really about the video you're uploading now. It's
I love that, dude. This dude is full of writer downer nuggets. The success that you're looking for is in your next video. I'm stealing that. I will credit you for it. I promise to God, but I'm literally, that's what I'm going to say, because like, that's the reality. Everybody's like, thinks it's in this one. Next video is where the success is. I love that.
Well, that's a lot of our story as well. You know, like when my very first, I was uploading video on YouTube all the time. I made a video at 2 o'clock in the morning in a dirty Walmart shirt because she was asleep in the next room with our brand new baby. I was actually in the baby's room. That was like my office, right? Until the baby,
doubling up.
I think it was it James or
it was James.
It was James. Yeah. So I go and I make a video and I put it on YouTube. Don't even think about it again. I didn't even think about it again. One day I get a call. This is probably 5-6 months later. I get a phone call and it says, I just saw your video. I want to get a website from you. And I think on my feet. I'm like, I don't know what the crap this guy's talking about, but it's $5,000, So he buys it from me, and I said, by the way, what video are you talking about? And he says, you're all over YouTube. I gotta go. Bye.
So what Owen's explaining right now, just for those of you who are really truly paying attention and have stuck through this far, and hopefully you've been smart enough to. It's the principle and the theory of the dirty Walmart shirt. Okay, seriously, no.
Named it. It's DWS.
Yeah, right. That's what we call it. We don't want to get too vernacular on
Insider lingo.
That's the jargon for it. But on a serious level, listen to what this man is saying. And I mean, in general, now I will say this, and I say this when it clicks in my head. You need to follow these guys, and you need to listen to what these people say, because he said more stuff. You've said more stuff in this video than that means something. That literally means something. And I don't want to insult anybody who's been on before. We've had some good guests.
Careful.
I'm going to be careful. I'm getting the glare. I am getting the glare. I know Theresa knows the glare. Owen knows the glare. Anything we didn't ask that we should ask? Because I'm sure there's 10 things.
What's a big thing that you see our clients struggling with? So what would you say is a recurring theme?
I would say that a lot of people don't recognize the power of a thumbnail.
Oh, that's good.
Wow.
The thumbnail is the image that you design to attract people to your video. And I think it's just as important as the video itself. And the reason why is because if your thumbnail doesn't look attractive enough, no one's going to watch your video because they have to click on it first.
It's not like Facebook or Instagram where it's a news feed scenario, right? Like every video watched on YouTube is first a thumbnail that's clicked. So many companies that have a good product or service and they carry themselves in every single way as professionals, but then they make a YouTube thumbnail and it's just garbage. And so in a lot of ways you have to have a good philosophy of how to communicate your message.
All right, well then let's do this.
That's a great tip.
When whatever little training thing we end up doing together, which I really do want to do, because I'd like to share some deeper dive stuff. Let's make thumbnail principles be one of the things, because you're right. Nobody's going to see your freaking video.
Most people, the furthest we go with a thumbnail is making sure we don't have a totally awkward, like one eye closed, one eye open, weird thing going on our face, right? Yeah. That's as far as most of us go with our thumbnails. Why are you
telling behind the scenes secrets about me, Michelle?
All right. Well, let's see. Last question, and we have to ask. We warned you this one was coming. You guys work from home as a couple. We do too. We know it's not always smooth sailing. So what advice? What advice would you give to people watching who maybe are looking to do the same?
Yes, well, I would definitely say that having some rituals in your day are very, very important. So I would say starting your day well, and then ending, especially that transition period between your close of your work schedule and now it's time for like no work and we're just a family. So Owen and I, Owen's better at it than I am, but we both have a morning ritual that we stick to every morning. So we like to wake up early, get that time alone. Kids are still asleep. We're not talking. We're doing our own thing. It's that alone time where, we can read, we can journal, we can, pray or meditate, those types of things, exercise before starting the day. And so you can just go into the day already just mentally prepared for it. And you've had that really good, important alone time that you need, at least for our personalities. And then what Owen does at the end of his work day is he leaves for about 30 minutes to an hour. And again, it's his opportunity for him to decompress from the day. Yeah. Think about what went well, what didn't, what goals he has for tomorrow. And then he writes it down, he closes that book, and he comes back into the house. And now he is dad, husband, and the business is done.
So I think that's really good, is our morning routines and our rituals. When I leave for the day, I leave and I thank God for the day I had. And then, ask for clarity and processing, what happened.
That's wisdom right there, man.
Yeah, and so that's an important part of, I think, staying calm, is that we believe we have a bigger purpose in this life. Like, YouTube is part of what we do to make a living, but what we're doing to make an impact is to be a couple of influencers.
So we know you have a gift for the audience today. Tell us about what they'll get when they pop over to the link that will be somewhere near where they are watching or listening today.
It's pronounced gift, by the way. So I just, what is our gift, sweetie?
It's our ROS template.
Oh, the ROS template.
Yes, and there's some bonuses in there.
Our most popular structure is the ROS, the Run of Show template. And we're giving you that for free.
So so go and check out what they're offering. Click the link and go and check it out for sure.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Theresa and Owen, for joining us today. We appreciate you both. We appreciate all the wisdom and ideas that you've shared. And just thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
it's been a blast, actually.
Yes. Great to be here.
Absolute freaking blast. You want to say anything, Michelle?
Yeah, hit like, subscribe,
there you go.
Leave us a comment, a review, a rating, depending on where you are watching this. And make sure you click the link near this video or audio to grab access to that template and some more bonus goodies and gifts from Owen and Theresa.
Boom.